Hello, Sure Babe listeners. This is episode 45. In this episode, we are going to talk all about fear and overcoming your fears, specifically the fear of failure. You guys, we all have fears, and we totally need to normalize that. No one goes into business or entrepreneurship without fear. I actually think fear is a good thing, but too many times we look at it and we let it keep us from doing what we are supposed to do in life. So I'm interviewing today my friend Natalie Borton. She is a blogger turned jewelry designer. She's an inspiration on Instagram. She's a stylist. She's a mother, and she is thriving in her business. So I thought she would be the perfect person to talk to today about how she overcame her fear of failure. If you follow Natalie on Instagram, you might look at her and think, she doesn't have fears. She's killing it. But I love her story, and I love how she shares vulnerably how she did have a huge sense of a fear of failure and how she overcame that and what she's doing now in her business. It's truly inspiring. So I'm excited today, and I hope that out of this episode, you guys learn that you can do it scared and that you will not keep fear from reaching the goals that you have in your life. So without further ado, here is Natalie. Hello, Sure Babe listeners. I am excited to have Natalie Borton back on the podcast today. She was one of my very first interviewees, and we talked all about our mutual struggle with eating disorders in the past and how we've overcome them. So definitely check out that episode. I believe it was like episode 4. But today we're talking about a different subject because Natalie is someone that I look up to as a businesswoman and a mom and a friend and a woman of class and style. So we're going to talk all about how to overcome your fear of failure today in life, especially when it comes to your career and business goals. So welcome to the show, Natalie.
Thank you so much for having me again. It's always good to chat with you.
Yeah, okay. I'm excited because we were just literally talking before we recorded about where you were at before when we were interviewing, or when I was interviewing you with your business. I think it was like a year old maybe, or I can't remember, but it wasn't nearly where it is now. So I'm excited for you to tell everybody what you do, who you are, and where you're at now with your business.
Yeah, it's grown a lot since that episode. Well, to introduce myself, my name is Natalie Borton, and I am a jewelry designer. I make minimalist, handmade, California-inspired jewelry. It's designed for everyday wear, and that is my main business. And then I sort of support that business through what I do over on Instagram. I do a lot of virtual styling, and my goal on Instagram is just to connect and inspire. I share a lot about what we talked about in our last episode, about body positivity, about self-acceptance. And so that's another piece of the puzzle that isn't necessarily the business, but is the heart behind the business. So that is me in a nutshell.
I love that. Okay, so how did you start this? Because I mean, just to give people a little bit of background, Natalie and I met through blogging. I stalked her and realized she lived in my area and that we went to the same church, and like finally got the guts to introduce myself to her. And I just told her, I love what you write. And we became friends after that. So there you go. If you just stalk the people you like, you might end up being friends.
Totally worked. That was a while ago too. That was like before kids. Did you have Waylon yet?
I had Waylon.
Or no?
Yeah, I had one.
Because Waylon's a couple years older than Jack. Because I don't even think I was pregnant yet when we met.
You weren't. We had a conversation about that because you said at the time you didn't know if you were going to have kids, and I was like, oh,
that's right.
So then I've known you from before when you were just like career focused. I mean, you're still just as career focused, if not even more, which is encouraging to me. And I think it should be encouraging to all women that want to be mothers as well. So yeah, we met, that was probably 6 or 7 years ago. And you were blogging and you were writing for Darling Magazine online and being like, I think you were like the online marketing, or not marketing, but
I was their web editor.
Yes, your web editor. And so I've always loved your voice. And so I want
people to learn from you, like how to pinpoint those fears, because I think we all have them. So let's just normalize that. No one goes into business or that entrepreneurial route without having some sort of fears and doubts. It's just, I feel like the people that are doing well in their careers or, meeting those goals are kind of just overcoming those fears. Maybe it's daily, maybe it's hourly, but what does that look like for you in terms of when you switched from or pivoted a little bit from just blogging to then creating a whole brand, a Natalie Borton jewelry brand?
Yeah, it can be very scary. It's a very vulnerable thing. I think anytime you are in a pivot, anytime you're putting anything out there, it's vulnerable because obviously whether it is a physical product or a service or something creative, you have the chance to be rejected. And so it's just vulnerable putting yourself out there as a business person and especially as like a solopreneur where I think sometimes if it was a bigger business that you start, it's still vulnerable, but it's scary because you're like, oh, this is me and I made this for you or I created this for you or I'm doing this thing now and you just hope that people accept it. So it can be scary. I was really nervous because I felt a little bit like an imposter since I don't have any formal training in jewelry design. So I'm self-taught. And so that also really played into my fears at the beginning, but I felt confident in what I wanted to do and honestly just decided to put myself out there because I really wanted to do it. I really wanted to shift my business. I didn't feel confident moving forward with, my business as it was at the time, blogging, but as a primary income source, it wasn't quite working out the way that I wanted it to. And so I did pivot to have a physical product and it was honestly super scary. And I felt really, and for especially the whole first year, I felt nervous every time someone asked me what I did for a living. I'm like, oh, well, I'm like a blogger and I just started making jewelry. Like I wouldn't even call myself a jewelry designer. It's taken years to really like kind of come into myself as a business owner, as a designer, and to have that confidence. So all that to say, I really affirm the reality that it is scary. There's a huge fear of failure every step of the way. And interestingly now, I'm more confident, but I also realize that failure, like every growth, like every time you grow more and more in your business, the failure, you're going to fall farther if you fail. And that's a little scary too. So
how have you failed? What does that look like? Because from the outside perspective, it just looks like an upward trajectory, but I'm sure that that's not what it looks like behind the scenes. So what do you view as things?
Well, we could consider my blogging career somewhat of a failure because I never was able to properly monetize that as a career. I loved writing. It's not a failure in the sense that I don't feel good about what I put out there, but in terms of the business, like we're talking financially, I would consider my blogging career to be a financial failure, even though it was a creative success.
It was, and it helped many people. It
was a financial success. So luckily I, was married at the time. And so I was able to, pay my bills and everything. But that really motivated me though to shift gears. So there's a failure in that sense. In my business right now, I feel like I'm learning so much every year. I now just celebrated 4 years in business. And, there's, my biggest failure, which nobody knows about, but I'll share it here, give you the exclusive.
Yes, exclusive.
So it ended up looking like a huge success, but it was like such a mortifying failure on my part. So the tassel earrings. that I sell now, currently available at madewell.com.
Yes, for everybody. We'll talk about, yes.
But anyway, when I first came out with them, I, made a big batch of them and did this huge, I'm just like promoting them like crazy, getting people so hyped and excited about it. I've got the launch date. We've got the time. I'm like, set your alarms. And I'm doing my final inventory counts, and then we launch the products. We have the biggest sales day ever to date when I launched these tassel earrings, and they all sold that day. And it was just this crazy, huge success. And I was just, the adrenaline was a day for me. So I go out to dinner with Brian, that night to celebrate. Literally, as we are ordering our champagne to celebrate like my huge success of the day, I have this realization that when I did the inventory, did not count them in pairs. I counted them.
No.
I neglected to count the pairs. So I sold twice as much as I actually had made.
Oh, no.
And it was like a pit in my stomach. Like literally the waitress is bringing us champagne to celebrate this. And I'm like, I feel like I went pale. Brian's like, are you okay? And I tell him exactly what just happened. I'm like, I just had this realization and I sold all these earrings and I don't have the earrings to give to the people that bought them. And like, how am I going to handle this? There's all these customers, like the customer service is going to be a nightmare. So anyway, that's a huge failure, but I took that and I was motivated to get it done. I was able to rush ship all of the extra materials that I needed. And I basically just didn't ship things out for a few days, and which was acceptable. With handmade products, I think people give you a lot of grace. And several years ago too, I was a smaller business. And so people didn't really expect things to ship as quickly.
Yeah.
And I have never hustled so hard, but I made them all and I sent them out, and nobody knew until now that I made such a dire math error.
But it was actually a profitable error. So it
was a profitable error. And that's what made me realize, I should probably make more. But yeah.
Wow.
I still feel like right now I feel a little sick thinking about it.
That is amazing. I love that you just shared that here, because I think that just helps people see that they're going to make mistakes in business, like in your career and your passion. But I like to say that I fail forward, because I look at all of the jobs I've had in the past and I'm like, wow, I could look at my very first job at Time Incorporated and I could just be like, I was like such a failure in that job. Or I could say, but I failed forward. I took things from that job that I learned, and then I learned that obviously like sitting behind a desk wasn't for me. I was not administrative and that's not my gifting. And so I failed forward into a different area of my life that I flourished. I learned that I needed to go back to school. So I love that you just shared that, because I think it takes out that myth of like everything has to look perfect in order to succeed and to do well in your business.
Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying the episode with Natalie. I just wanted to let you know that this podcast is sponsored by my very own editorial calendar. I created this calendar as a way to keep my own thoughts, ideas, and goals all across my social media platforms organized and in one place, and to create content for an entire month. I found myself like constantly thinking about like, what do I post next? And I was just kind of rushing last minute to post. I don't want to run my business or my social media platforms that way. And I really wasn't living in the present moment with my family. So I created this editorial calendar as a way to create content for an entire month. And I'm giving it away to you guys for free. I just cannot keep this to myself. So there will be a link in the description of this podcast for you. Just click that link and it will take you to a page where you can download this editorial calendar for free and start getting your life organized and taking the stress out of posting to social media. Thank you guys so much for being here, and let's get back to the show.
So thank you for that.
Yeah, and sometimes those mistakes, like I said, I learned a lot from that mistake. One, I never made that mistake again. Obviously, I don't make those kind of counting errors anymore. But I learned, okay, maybe I could actually sell more if that led to me hiring my assistant, realizing, people are actually interested in these products that I'm making, and I don't need to feel so shy to put myself out there. I have some money in my account. I can afford to hire an assistant to help me make more things, and then maybe we can, sell more and grow the business. And I think if I hadn't so made that huge error and accidentally oversold by so much, I don't know if I ever would have realized that I could, that I was in a position where I could grow a little bit more. So I completely agree with you. You can't take the failures and be down on yourself and think, oh, I'm so dumb. I can't figure this out. I'm not cut out for this. You have to take it as a learning experience. And if you just accept the failure and then see, how do I make sure I don't make this mistake again? You just continue to improve. You continue to develop more confidence. And so you're right. It's failing forward. It's exactly what it is.
I want to go back just real quick to like the fear when you started, because I feel like that's the biggest issue for most people, is the fear of starting something new, or like, what will people think of me? Like you said, I feared saying I was a jewelry designer because I was self-taught and it was something new. And you will not believe how many people talk to me and say, I really want to start like a YouTube channel, but I'm so afraid of like what my friends will think or what other people will think because I'm new at this. And I look at them and I'm like, my heart breaks because I know what that feels like. But at the same time, for me, I think my personality is just naturally like, I worry about that. But then the joy and the passion for what I'm doing is more than the fear. But that's not true for everybody. So what was that like for you to jump over that hurdle of what will people think of me if I call myself a jewelry designer now and I actually put my energy into this new area?
Yeah, I think that, it's easier said than done, but at a certain point you just have to decide that you aren't going to let those fears dictate what you're going to do. It's good to think things through. I think when you're starting any kind of business endeavor, it's wise to, think it through financially, think through your game plan. You're not going to waste as much time if you can think things through. But then once you've decided that you're going to give something a try, I'd rather do something, give it a try and see that it not worked out and learn from it than to never try at all. Yeah. And then what is your life? If you just live your whole life wishing that you had done this one thing, or tried to start your own business, or, inspired someone in some way and you never did it and you just have to live with that regret. I guess I just decided that I'd rather not live with the regret.
I love that. And that's where it's at, friends. I'm telling you, literally, don't live your life according to what you think other people think you should live. Or if they call you an imposter, who cares what they think? It's usually reflects something back on them instead of you. And so I feel like if we could give you any hope today, it's to just take that next step forward and put the fear aside, or do it scared. I always say that. I think Brene Brown says that. That's courage.
Yeah.
That's doing things scared. You don't have to, or that's true bravery, actually. So yes, so hopefully we encourage you guys to do that. And in closing, I wanted just to, get an update, just to encourage people of what can happen when you follow your passion and your curiosity, because you recently had a huge collaboration with Madewell, which I know was a long time coming. You've been a fan of them forever. So have I. But it was like the perfect marriage, I think, of your brand and theirs. So tell us a little bit about what that looked like. Did you get an email from them, and did you just celebrate right away? And then just give us the whole story of how that happened.
Yeah, this is definitely the biggest business milestone, and it's been my goal from the very start to do something collaborative with Madewell. So every day I go to the Madewell website and just look at my jewelry on their website, just to encourage myself a little bit. I'm like, okay, we're doing something right. We did this. So basically my stuff is on their site as part of the Hometown Heroes Collective, which is a new marketplace that they have created over the past year or so in partnership with a nonprofit called Nest. And so I discovered this on their website earlier this year. I think it was maybe in March, and I saw the application and applied right away to be part of this. And I just really didn't know that much about it, but it seemed like it could be a good fit. And so I applied myself, and then, waited anxiously to hear back from them, and to have a few emails back and forth, telling me they got my application, and, they're reviewing everyone's applications. They'd let us know. I think they told me they would let me know by June or July. And then, one day I got an email from them saying that I had been accepted and that we would be moving things forward, and, all my next steps for, the products I would submit for their approval and all that. And then, ta-da, all of a sudden, Here we go. Products are on their site. And it's been really a cool experience and very validating. I think, as I shared recently, I had this little small business a small business summit about that, about how that was a question I got, was what has this really done for me and my brand? And the biggest thing for me is I think with handmade products, especially, people are like, I don't know, is this like crafty or like, what is this? And so for Madewell to include me in their marketplace is just kind of like a stamp of approval saying, hey, this is actually like, this is a good product. This is good quality. And we support this. And so that's been huge for, I think, prospective customers, for current customers, and then also just for myself and overcoming that fear of failure. You know, it feels very affirming and motivating to me to just continue to move forward, you know, thinking that I've only been in business for 4 years, thinking back to, you know, as you just took me down memory lane here, when I first started and I was terrified to call myself a designer. Now here we go. Like, it's very, it's a really exciting milestone, and it's been surreal.
Wow. So do you have new goals now for your business now that you've reached this point and feel a lot more secure in calling yourself a designer? You have that credential now, being in Madewell's marketplace. Like, what are the new goals that you're setting for your business?
Oh yeah, I know, right? When you meet your big goal, then you have to make a new
one. You have to reassess. So totally.
I'm always so bad at making goals because of that fear of failure in there. I'm like afraid to make a goal because if you don't make the goal, then you failed, right. You know, so it makes me nervous, but I know that it's so important in business, and now seeing a goal, you know, seeing myself achieve a goal, it does feel so good when you set a goal and you achieve it. So I do have one. It's it's a big goal, but it doesn't seem as like flashy and exciting as having stuff sold and made well. But by the end of next year, I do not want to be making the jewelry myself anymore. I still make most of the jewelry like by myself. I haven't prepped everything for me, and then I'll finish the products. I've been training her on how to do pieces from start to finish. And then I'm exploring hiring some other artisans who have some different skill sets that I can sort of hire like on a project by project basis, where I can design something and I'm not limited by my own skill set because, as you know, I'm self-taught and I don't have metalworking tools outside of, making the gold filled hoops that I make. I'm sort of limited by my skills and my tools and my studio. And so realizing I could really expand my business if I could tap into these people who have these amazing skills, who don't necessarily want to start their own business, but they want to, get paid for their work. Yeah. So I'm exploring that right now. And yeah, that's a big goal of mine. By the end of the year, by the end of 2020, I don't want to be making the jewelry anymore. It still will be handmade. That's part of the core of my business. I love handmade products. I think they just have so much soul to them and are so personal. But I want to be able to design something and then assign that to somebody, and then ta-da, it shows up and I can sell it to you.
I love that. I'm excited to see what comes of that. I think that's such a good goal to have. So, well, thank you so much for being here. Tell everybody where they can find you and where, of course, they can find your jewelry.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. You can find me on Instagram at Natalie Borton. The last name is Borton. I always have to spell it for people. So that's me on Instagram. And then my website is natalieborton.com, and my blog is blog.natalieborton.com. And you can also find my jewelry at madewell.com.
That is amazing. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Natalie. And hopefully you guys were totally encouraged by that, because I know I am. And yeah, go out and crush your goals. All right, friends. I hope that encouraged you. I always say that encouraged you, but really, so many of us need encouragement to take that step out in fear, to do the thing that we are called to do and that we want to do, that lights us up. And we all have fears. Let's just normalize that. Just as you heard, you probably have seen Natalie on Instagram and thought, she's perfect. She doesn't have fears. She's just killing it. When in reality, it took her almost 2 years into business to even say that she was a jewelry designer. And now she's in Madewell. So I hope you guys know that you can do it scared, and that you are meant to do the thing that's on your heart right now. So with that, thank you guys again for listening.
Please rate and review this podcast wherever you're listening. We love that. It helps us so much get the word out. And if you think this episode would be good for someone, please consider texting them a link to it or screenshotting it and sharing it on Instagram and hashtag the Sure Babe podcast, or tag me at Chrissy J. Powers. I love sharing all of those screenshots and stories when you guys post them. So thank you again so much. And do not forget to download my free editorial calendar, because if you have any goal, business, or post you want to do on Instagram, we know how overwhelming it can be sometimes to keep everything straight. So I created this editorial calendar for myself and then was so excited to give it away to you guys. So just click the link in the description of this podcast and you will receive your free editorial calendar in your inbox today. Thank you guys so much. Grace and gratitude to you all.